remembered.
Dude, it's like a nerd stick edible.
Nice. All right, here we go. I'm going live.
Really?
Yeah. Straight off the bat. No entrance, no kind of intro. What's up, guys? I am Logan Robinson. I'm here from Null Game Day. This is Hear the Spear, instant reaction to Florida State's dismantling loss to Louisville. A whole 180 from last week. Florida State loses 48-16 in Kentucky. Get your bourbon. Not one shot, not two shots. Get 3 shots of bourbon. I can't wait to drink for the rest of the day. What's happening, fellas? We got
Can't
Karlos.
afford bourbon.
Yeah, we got Karlos Williams up here. He is going to a Halloween party. So if anybody's wondering why he's wearing that, he's going to a Halloween party. Just, putting that out there now. And then Dustin Lewis is below us, and Nate Greer is going to be joining us here any minute. But what's happening, guys?
Doing all right. It's tough. Watching that game was tough after what we watched the week before and what we were hoping to see was progress. My feelings on the game, thoughts on the game is that our quarterback
His thoughts are, I am a robot.
Did you change into a robot, Karlos?
Hit that dead zone. Yo, this is pretty much how the game went. This is a perfect recap.
Yeah, you are recapping this perfectly. You're doing exactly what Florida State's defense did, Lo. So you're breaking up a lot. So if you hear us,
he is frozen.
He is frozen. He has escaped the jail, but it seems like the feds have got him.
All right, so yeah, I'll take over.
Go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Take over what Karlos was saying right there. So yeah, obviously the defense was a really big disappointment coming into this game after what we saw last week. They held North Carolina to 2 of 12 on third down, 0 of 3 on fourth down, and really stepped up during the big moments of the game. And in this one, it felt like they didn't even really get a lot of chances. They only forced 9 third downs the entire game. Louisville converted on 5 of them. And, the Cardinals just hit big play after big play, it felt like. The first drive of the game, Cunningham hits Tutu Atwell for a big play after he beat Jarvis Brownlee on a slant. Second drive, Hawkins, he had it was a 70-yard run after he cut back against the defense. Atwell had another 58-yard catch that turned into a touchdown later in the half. It was just ridiculous time and time again how many big plays the defense gave up.
Yeah, it was nonstop. What's up, Nate? Good to have you on here. We just had Karlos Williams, but he lost his connection.
I guess he got to his Halloween party.
He might have arrived there perfectly fine. But, yeah, we're just giving our raw first instant reaction. What you got, Nate?
What the fuck was that? That's my raw instant reaction. I should have known better to think that this team would actually be able to put something together and come out and play a game of football. But that was worse than Miami for me. It's a team that, 1-4, yeah, they have explosive players, but this is Florida State's chance to come in and show some maturation, show that things are moving forward, and that was 8 steps backwards. The defense was again atrocious. I think it's time to blow the whole thing up, including the defensive coordinator. It just ain't clicking. A lot of it is on the players, but Fuller is not the answer right now. I just don't understand it. And I think you see, when you talk of immediate thought, for me, in my opinion, we're starting to see that, the verdict is out on Travis. The tape is out there. You make him a pocket passer, thrower, stop him from being a mobile guy. You can shut him down. So that was just, all in all, big fat negative F for the defense and a negative F- for the wide receivers. I don't know what that was. Helton needs to go and sit down. He's not mentally healthy. He's not nearly the same player. The fact that Warren Thompson was your most consistent wide receiver, and I think he had one catch, 2 catches,
one catch,
and it was a tough catch.
Yeah.
But
on third down,
the fact that And I'm not gonna name names, but you have all these stupid ass hot takes on Twitter about Chuba Purdy, and he's not the answer. The guy had like 7 drop passes. You can't hit anyone more in the chest than he hit Keyshawn Helton in the chest at the 2-yard line. How many times do you throw up a jump on a guy just doesn't catch it?
Yeah, he hit Cam McDonald right in the chest in the end zone, and McDonald couldn't come down with it.
And the same thing happened to Jordan Travis, yeah. But also, Jordan Travis missed a couple plays, underthrowing guys. It's just a mess, man. It was a mess. That's my instant reaction. That was just like that's the worst game of the year so far.
Yeah,
and a lot of fastest for Florida State.
Yeah, I was talking with Los and D-Lou before this, and I was telling, man, I was putting on Twitter saying, man, I haven't seen anything like this. I haven't seen anything like this. Because guess what? I mean, you could go back to 2016 when Florida State faced Louisville, but guess what? Who they had? Who's now a NFL MVP quarterback? Lamar Jackson was on that field. Today, there was no Lamar Jackson on this field. I mean, it was Cunningham, who was an average quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason homeboy running back had good yards on today is because there was no defense for Florida State. I mean, that's why I had just never seen anything like it. Lamar Jackson was not on that field, and you still lose to a quarterback like that and a running back. It was piss poor and pitiful, and then you still got the continuous flags and making mistakes and late hits. I mean, I don't know how many late hit penalties Brendan Gant has. I don't know.
Go ahead. It was all 3 levels of the defense that disappointed. I mean, the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backs. There's really nothing that you can take away positively that the defense did at all today. I mean, Emmett Rice made that sack that ended up being a safety because Cunningham pretty much fell down. But other than that, what do you take away from this game other than the defense last week was clearly an outlier, and this defense is pathetic. I mean, a stat I just want to read off to you guys real quick that I've found after the game. FSU has given up 28-plus points and 517-plus yards of total offense in 4 of their last 5 games. The only game they didn't was Jacksonville State, and Jacksonville State still put up 24 and, was up on Florida State big in that game to start off. So this defense is terrible. I mean, if 517 times 4 is like 2,000-something yards, I'm sure there's a couple defenses in Florida State history that didn't give up over 2,000 yards in an entire season.
Now, this is the worst defense in Florida State's history. In my lifetime, the only other defense that was in contention was 2009. But this defense gave up 9.3 yards per play today, which is the worst in Florida State history. That is just not Florida State football.
This first down every time you touch the ball.
In the first half, they averaged 10.1 yards per play on first down. I mean, you're not stopping anyone.
Atwell was 12.1 yards per carry at some point.
Yes, 12.3.
12.3,
yeah. Whatever, 12 yards is asinine.
8 yards, 9 yards, 7 yards is crazy.
And, I want to – we were talking about this in another chat that I was in. I want to rewatch it, but – I don't recall them going after Samuels or Dent at all. Everything was within the hashes in the middle of the field. I don't recall them making one single attempt outside.
No, they never tried Asante. They never tried
Dent. It was Brownlee. It was the linebackers. It was Woody. It was it was that back middle end that was just And I'm hugely disappointed in Travis J. And what the hell was that loaf on Atwell? No attempt at a tackle. And if I'm not mistaken, they benched him after that. The guy who's supposedly your best natural football player just gives zero effort.
that just starts the whole virus of the team, that defense just giving up.
Yep.
We've seen that the last couple of seasons, and that's one little not wanting to make the effort to tackle, which he most certainly could. He's an athlete. He could have tackled him. That right there is what creates a disease, which Norvell has been trying to stop since the beginning of being here. But I think this was the first time where we said, that this team has given up. I don't know if they've given up on Fuller as a defensive coordinator, but and missed tackles is just continuous too. I've never seen so many. For number one, he has flashes throughout the game, but still, when the running back is off running a screen, he'll hit him, but you just know it's not going to be a tackle. I mean, the running back's able to get off of him, and he is able to get 5 more yards. I've never seen anything like it.
For me, here, I'm sure Dustin has the defense, the stats up. The fact
Which
that
one do you want?
Hold on.
I don't know if I want to see it.
569 total yards.
Yep.
5 for 9 on third down.
Mm-hmm. I was talking about that before you came in.
Only 61 plays, because they were just that dynamic. And we talked about in the Unconquered Talk podcast before. One of my points was that in order for Florida State to win, this is an offense that is not very efficient in Louisville. They're very boom or bust, and they had to stop the big play, and they just might as well not even play freaking defense. But not to jump ahead, but the fact that Chuba Purdy was 0 for 9 with 5 drops is just asinine.
Yeah, it was back to back.
Yes.
It was so disappointing.
I don't understand how Webb only has 9 carries.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Toa Philly looked really good today. He had 6 carries, so arguably your 2 best running backs only have 15 carries. But they still combined for 15 carries for 150 yards, so they averaged 10 yards per rush. But I think that without a legitimate downfield attack threat, the answer is out on Jordan Travis. And I'm not going to sit here and shit on him, because he is what he is in terms of what he is in this offense. This offense has been a lot better with him at quarterback. But as long as there's no Tamarian Terry, there's no consistent wide receiver play, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get early success, and then you're going to get coaches that are going to be able to adjust and stop and force him to be a passer. And
he's hindering something right now too.
Yes,
also,
yes.
He's hindering something.
He's hurt.
He's still dangling his arm. If you watch, he's still walking with his right hand swinging, holding his left arm close to his body. He's banged up.
Yeah. I was reading a tweet from an FSU reporter on Twitter, and he said that Travis was noticeably grimacing whenever he was coming in to do interviews. I mean, it's clear he's been hurting, and ever since the Notre Dame game, it feels like that left arm has been a problem for him. Even last week, late in the game, he battled through that injury like we talked about in the podcast. So I think it's a good thing that Florida State does have a bye week right now, and kind of a chance to get him back healthy as they move towards Pittsburgh, if he is going to remain the starter.
Yeah, and it's flat embarrassing watching this defense celebrate 5-yard tackles on 2nd and 3.
Nate, that's been something for years upon years. It's something about being in a Florida State uniform celebrating 5 yards down the field.
It's gotten progressively worse.
Oh, it's gotten worse. Yeah, it's just
like.
Well, it comes from, Nate. Though it comes from your 4th-year seniors, your 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Well, you got the young guys doing it too. The one that pissed me off the most today is Raymond Woody was back in coverage, and Cunningham overthrew a pass, and Woody was sitting there thinking he was going to pick it off. He was just sitting there like waiting for it like a punt, and the Louisville receiver went for the extra effort and just like kind of got there where it looked like he might catch the ball, and Woody had to make an effort. And after that play where he totally screwed up what should have been a pick, he gets up and flashes his hand to the side, incompletion. Oh,
yeah,
great job.
you dropped the fucking pick. When the game was still up for grabs.
Like if he goes up and reacts to that pass, maybe he makes the play. Can't wait for the play to come to you. You got to go make it yourself.
How many penalties Florida State have?
Florida State had 11 penalties for 104 yards.
So that's back-to-back 11 plus.
Yeah.
That's an entire football field, ladies and gentlemen.
How many false starts?
A lot.
2, 3?
It was 3 or 4.
3 or 4. I'm trying to look on here.
Doesn't tell me the exact penalty.
It amazes me. Florida State goes for 406 yards and only puts up 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, just 2 of 4 in the red zone. Louisville goes 6 for 6 in red zone scoring. And obviously Florida State, they couldn't convert on that 4th and goal with Travis on the QB sneak, and then with Purdy at the end of the game there with all those drop passes, which Nate was talking about earlier. I mean, just insane, because it was just, I'm sure a lot of Florida State fans, you know, you're down 48-16. You at least get a little bit excited when finally the quarterback who Florida State stole from Louisville comes into the game, true freshman quarterback Chuba Purdy, for his first ever game action. And then that happens. I mean, that's just a way to describe how this game went today.
It's absolutely just nuts, too. Florida State wasn't even close in the possession of time during the game. 34 minutes for Florida State, 25 minutes for Louisville.
They didn't need the ball. They scored so fast.
Mm-hmm.
5.
Well, Florida State had a 6-minute drive.
5
and didn't
plays
put up any points.
5 plays at 35 yards or more in the first half. That's the game right there. But do you guys think it's time to talk about defensive coordinator?
It's time to start looking around. I think it's against the law. I mean, someone should have a chat with whoever needs to be had the chat with. Where the hell is Amari Gaynor? Was he not having a great start to his season? In the last 2 weeks, we don't see him at all. And we were supposed to we heard from Norvell and staff that we're going to see a lot more of him this weekend, but he's one of your best tacklers. But each game, and definitely today, there's terrible tackling, and he's a number one guy. While, like Nate just said, they weren't going to the boundary. They were working a lot on the inside, and, man, you'd like to have Gaynor, who's quick and fast and able to go run after and make tackles. You'd love to have 33 in there, but you know where they were using him was in goal line packages. Give me a break. I mean, that is silly. That is so silly.
Yeah, I do really question the decision to put Leonard Warner at defensive end and not Gaynor. At least have an athlete out there, because if they killed Florida State, in the run game, especially in the outside. It was, I don't know, man. I've been one to put a lot on the players, and really just a lot still needs to be put on them with the lack of effort and the angles and the missed tackles. Fuller's not the one on the field playing. But at the same time, something's not clicking. And
I just want to know, what kind of dirt does Leonard Warner have on Adam Fuller for him to keep him on the football field each week?
Any defensive coordinator. He's got something on FSU. He has something.
This guy shouldn't even be on the sideline.
He's got something on somebody at the program. It's not just a defensive coordinator. Whoever he's been on this field for a couple of years now. But it's already, you should never be allowed to. I'm not going to say anything more. I'm gonna get canceled.
Going back quickly to your point on Gaynor, Logan, he actually, in his limited snaps, he did tie for second on the team with 7 tackles today. So, he was still making some plays, but he's got to be on that field as much as any other defensive player on this entire roster. It's asinine if he isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But as we sit here and look at personnel and the answer, I don't think the answer is there right now. We're just going to have to sit here and suck it up for the remaining, 4 games that are left on the schedule.
There's 5 left, unfortunately.
I suggest no one look at that schedule ahead.
There's really going to be 4 because Clemson's one of them. That's
Isn't
not
it
really a
crazy though?
game.
Of so much of a 180 we've hit. Of now, we thought Florida State has a chance with a lot of these teams, except of course Clemson. But we thought Florida State's gonna be able to compete with a lot of these teams. But it completely hit a whole 180 on us. Isn't that nuts? How that's happening right now?
I don't think that I'm not ready to see here and say they can't compete with what's left on the schedule minus Clemson. I just think that's the volatility of college football right now with COVID and everything.
If the other teams have quarterback and a running back, I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, but you look at the rest of those teams, they really don't. Clemson's gonna put up whatever they want to score.
That's how much Dabo wants to score, and he would love to score 80 on FSU.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're through the tough part of their schedule minus Clemson. At the same time, there's nothing that this defense is stopping anyone. That's going to keep any team in this game. But to get back to the question, I think it's time to really, one thing about Norvell coming in was he's pretty, champion and lauded for his coaching hires throughout his tenure as a head coach. At Memphis, he lost guys to Auburn and Georgia and Tennessee, and was able to just make another hire and keep the ball rolling. I think that we need to really kind of look around, man, because something's not firing right, and it's just a combination of everything. Sometimes things just don't mesh. Things could have meshed at a different school at Memphis. Fuller took the Memphis defense, bumped them up 50 spots in the S&P, whatever it was. Just doesn't mesh right now at Florida State. And I think that Norvell needs to seriously consider making a change because it's just horrible. I don't have any other words to say. That shit is horrible.
You don't really have to.
I don't even want to watch. I've only turned off one game in my entire fandom of Florida State, and that was Florida State, Oregon. Mm-hmm. I got up and stopped watching that game. I came close to stopping that stuff today. I came so close to just turning that shit off because it was just embarrassing.
Yeah, and to your point, Florida State head coaches holding on to defensive coordinators maybe a little bit too long has kind of been a criticism for the fan base recently. Also, obviously, you had Jimbo and Charles Kelly, who he probably should have let go. You had Willie Taggart and Harlon Barnett, and that was obviously not working after 2018. It didn't get much better in 2019. And then now with Adam Fuller. So those coaches didn't part with their defensive coordinators, and they caught a lot of flack from the fan base. If Mike Norvell was to fire Adam Fuller, I think a lot of the fan base would be happy because it shows, he's willing to make adjustments. He's willing to make coaching changes if things aren't working. And he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get this program back on top.
Mm-hmm. And I'm tired of saying that Florida State's not, missing talent. There's talent there. But at the same time, it's just they're mentally not there. I can't say that Florida State's talented right now on defense because – they play really bad football. It's bad football.
Yeah, well, they don't compete with their talent they have. They're letting guys from Louisville take full advantage of them, which is just shouldn't be happening whatsoever. I mean, this wouldn't have helped the game if he was in either way or blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't still be the same score, but man, I mean, Hamsa, he was your best tackler coming into this season, but obviously he's not playing. But I mean, it wouldn't change the score, but I mean, you'd still like to have Hamsa National Team play, but it just seems like we won't see him this season.
No, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
Why come back now?
I wouldn't.
It would hurt. It would just hurt his draft stock.
There's enough quality film. There's enough film on him. There's no need to come back.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it. But yeah, that wouldn't save Florida State in that game. But I don't know. It's a whole, the energy, and that's something we talked about. We were a little bit worried that maybe Florida State was going to not bring the same energy that they had against North Carolina in a primetime game, a number 5 ranked team in the country at the time, and then go into a noon game, which is a whole 180 against a team that's 1-4, hasn't won an ACC game yet. What is that going to feel like? And sure enough, team wasn't there, never showed up.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? Maybe we should have took that Louisville Notre Dame game a little more serious. 12-7. Maybe we should take it a little bit more seriously.
Maybe just a tad. Someone one of our listeners, Jay Littlefield, you'll like this one, Nate, and also me. Why don't we give Webb the ball inside the 10 ever? The guy never has negative plays and is physically built for goal line plays, but we never give him the ball. He's our best player. He needs 25 to 30 touches a game.
Been saying that all damn year.
Both me and you.
I don't get it.
Both me and you have been saying it. I've been saying if you get into the red zone, why is 8 not out there on the field? He's a bowling ball. He's hard to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Put him.
I felt like Travis and Corbin were the only 2 guys that got touches inside the 10 tonight or today. Like I don't know why they wouldn't give it to Webb, because like you guys said, he's consistently been FSU's best all-around player on offense. And Nate, you said it earlier, he just didn't really get the amount of touches today, which was extremely weird because the Notre Dame game and the North Carolina game, it was really Jordan Travis and LaDamian Webb getting the bulk of carries on the ground. And today the disparity was a lot more even between all the running backs. So it was just weird to see them go to that strategy, especially after the success he had last week. He had the first 100-yard game by an FSU running back this season.
And pretty sure the first drive, when they drove right down the field, was Webb had a really solid drive, and he was even a threat in the passing game.
Yeah.
2 catches for 21 yards is not much of a threat, but it was, I think, the time of those catches.
Yeah, one of them was a 3rd down, and I don't remember the other one, but I mean, at least one was a big play.
Mm-hmm. Just everything sucked this game.
Hawkins had his Heisman day of 174 yards. He averaged practically 11 yards per carry. Every time he was going to catch the ball, he was going to get at least average around 11 yards pretty much. 3 touchdowns, and then you go over to Tutu Atwell. Has a little Heisman game too for him to put on some film for NFL scouts. 3 receptions, 129 yards, averaging 43 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown. I didn't understand right off the bat why your best corner, this is another reason for Fuller, why your best corner, one of the best corners in the country, we should say, is not locked onto Atwell 24/7. Guess who was on him? Brownlee was on him.
Just get out of that, field versus boundary shit. Make the adjustment and just put your best on best. It's pretty simple.
I've just never. I mean, that's what we saw with Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
You put Ramsey on the best guy, and that's how it worked. You put Darby on the best guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to talk about Travis a little bit, quarterback, because I think we're seeing a maxed out Florida State offense right now, without the ability to throw on a consistent basis. The last 2 weeks he's 43% passer. 22 for 51, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was 14 for 32 today. That's just it's not gonna work. And yes, he has some drop passes, but he had quite a few balls that were either thrown too late when guys were open on the RPO stuff, or on his deep shots where he's been better than expected this year. I think he came back to reality, and you saw some of that lack of ability to push the ball down the field, underthrowing guys. couple of those could have been plays made by the wide receiver. They had maybe one of the worst games I've ever seen by Florida State's wide receivers. But at the same time, man, you got to get rid of the ball quicker. He had a lot of time in the pocket to make throws, and I know we can't necessarily see the whole field because of the camera angle, but when you have 5 seconds behind the line and you're just standing there, it is either telling me, one, he's afraid to throw it, or two, Florida State's receivers can't create separation. It's one of those two things. That's what it is. Either he's not comfortable standing there and delivering the ball, or the guys aren't getting separation. And the few times that we saw, Jordan Young beat this guy, had him by 2 to 3 yards, the ball was underthrown, and he had to kind of stop, come back, and able to break it up. So I do think that as long as Terry's out, as long as there's not that consistent threat, teams are going to just pretty much tell Florida State, you want to beat us, you got to beat us, as a pocket passer. And they pretty much shut that down. They shut down his ability to get out of the pocket, get out and be like a dual threat. They shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
if I'm any coach, I'm shutting. I'm forcing that the best of my ability, and I couldn't care less about the outside. I'm gonna destroy FSU. I'm gonna take on their nickel and sub package defensive backs, and I'm gonna go after the linebackers, and you're gonna win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see once if Jordan Travis, he gets a week to heal, and it's interesting to see what the quarterback play is going to be. Obviously, we saw Trevor Purdy late in the fourth quarter. He could throw the ball. I think quarterbacks were like, damn, he could throw a heater. But still, I mean, drops are drops, man. That's just disappointing. Drop after drop after drop after drop after.
Mad Chubba's got to be that they did that to his debut.
Oh no, I would be.
He's going to be salty on the plane back.
Yeah, I'd be salty on that damn sideline. He puts the ball in the right spot, though. At least that's some kind of optimism we can look at, but still terrible drops. I don't know why not giving Brian Robinson some chance. That was 3 straight throws to 88.
He played later.
He played, but I need chances thrown to him, please. He's not.
Blow the whole shit up. Blow it up. Yeah, they're freshmen. They shouldn't have made plays. I think you kind of saw flashes of what could happen. Florida State's clearly playing for the future right now. When you have guys giving shit effort, you only have an X amount of scholarships and players to play. But I don't care if you have to play walk-ons that are at least going to give them 100% effort, because that shit was horrible. I'm sorry, that was horrible. That was horrible. And I don't understand why Chad Boucher's not back as a kick returner. Early in the season, he was so close to breaking them. I don't get it. You tried Helton. Helton's not a guy back there. Kai Douglas
doesn't have the burst. Douglas doesn't have the burst.
Douglas had some good returns today.
Well, he follows the blocking, but he doesn't have a burst. There's no one actually hauling ass down the field. It's just kind of.
I think Jay might still be a little bit hindered by that lower body injury he suffered against Miami a couple weeks back. That might be why they're a little hesitant to put him back. To return kicks.
Is that why he gave up on that play?
I didn't say that.
That's not saying to you. I
wasn't a good look for him there.
Nah.
No, that was not a good look.
That will be a fun film session.
But that was also not his guy. He came across field to try to, I'm not going to say make a play, because he came across field to loaf. That's hugely disappointing. And then even, Grothos was horrible, missed a kick.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Mastromano, only 40.6 yards per punt. Everything was just horrible today.
He did get that one down inside the 5, though.
Great.
And the other one we got the fumble on. Come on, a little bit of credit.
Yeah, I mean,
Let him have it. Let him have it.
He had to punch short to get that one at the goal line.
When you know, like, your only, like, little bit of optimism is first Chuba Purdy having 9 drops, but at least the ball was, like, close to the wide receiver, right? And then your punter having some good, like, a decent punt there inside the 5.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
That's when you know the whole
Reaching
team
for the
didn't show up.
coattails.
Yeah, that's when.
But I guess moving on a little bit towards this bye week for Florida State, and obviously the next game is going to be Pittsburgh coming to Tallahassee. What are some of the things you want this coaching staff to target during the bye week for Florida State to improve? Should they have more of, like, competition focused practices to try and see if the young guys are ready to step up and get more reps, guys fighting for positions? Because honestly, after a game like this, at least on defense, every position should be wide open for the taking. So what are your guys' thoughts moving into this off week?
I don't know. You got to keep the cult. Try to keep that same energy that
You're
you
a
had
great
against North Carolina.
introduction, and you answer with that. Perfect.
I mean,
Here, you think about it, Logan. Okay.
yeah.
So I'm going to run down quickly. Quarterback, you got to make a decision. Do you want to stay where you're at, see how Travis looks coming out of the bye week? I think that's what you do. See how healthy he is. If he can't create in the passing game, you have to open up the offense. Not saying Purdy's the answer. We all know that Blackman's not the answer. We all know that Tate Rodemaker is not ready. So you have to make a decision. Do you want to play 2 quarterbacks, be completely predictable? Got to figure that out, because I don't care. You can say what you want, disagree with me what you want. It's my thought. It's my brand. I can say what I want. I don't think that.
How dare you?
That I think that we're seeing a ceiling to the offense. I think you need to see Damian Webb get 20 carries a game. He gets 20 carries, he's going to get 100 yards. Okay. He needs to be a primary guy. Wide receiver, blow it up. 2 weeks of jug machines. 2 weeks of as physical of practices as you can make it for the wide receivers. Just beat the shit out of them because they need to toughen up. The offensive line looks great.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah. And great is a term comparative of what we've seen.
Yeah.
They still played really good today. They played well.
No, they gave Travis a lot of time.
Other than maybe that 4th and 1, like they got a consistent push all day.
Yeah.
And that's just football. You got to take the positives as it is.
I think that 4th and 1 was just a great play by the defense, and
they knew exactly what was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it was obvious. I give that ball to Webb and let him bully his way in.
Yeah.
But also, you look
You're
at –
a smart man.
I know. You look at Cam McDonald, got to get him more involved. And then you look at the defense. Every position is up for grabs. All I do for 2 weeks is hit in practice. I don't care. Toughen up. There's no reason to miss 38 tackles, whatever it was. I stopped writing notes.
Yeah. I used to do that in high school, where if we had a terrible game and if we're having a bye week, we're just going to tackle for a straight week. There'd be literally nothing else. We were not running schemes. We're not doing any kind of walkthroughs of plays. You're literally going to just be out there for 3 hours tackling.
Yeah.
And no matter who you were, no matter what player you were, what position, you're going to tackle too.
Early in the game, the defensive line was getting a lot of push. It was the linebackers in the secondary that were blowing the wad for the defense. And even throughout the duration of the game, the Florida State front 4 was still getting a decent push. They just weren't getting home. And linebacker wise, they clearly didn't flip the room. That is just a massive hole. In secondary, I think you really need to make a decision on me. I would like to see Dotson. I know he didn't play today. He needs to be. I don't think Brownlee's ready yet. He needs to be a nickel. I think Dent, as long as he's healthy. We talk a lot about him on the Unconquered Talk podcast. Not thinking he's mentally healthy. I think that ankle is still bothering him. Need to figure out something different at safety because Hamza's not coming back. Renardo was out. I don't think 6 and 31 are your answers at safety. Just no physicality, man. Just none.
just blow it up.
Blow the whole thing up, and
youth movement.
I'm not a coach.
Dustin?
Youth movement.
Yep. Yes. I'm not a coach.
Well, didn't we say that 2 weeks ago?
I'm not a coach. I'm not
a parent now.
I'm not paid $900,000 to coach Florida State's defense.
You're not? Damn.
I'm just a lonely Twitter guy.
You're a podcaster too. You are a co-host.
I'm on some podcasts too.
2 podcasts,
but
not just one, but 2.
At the same time, man, what the fuck? It's time to just play the young kids, lose by 40 if that's what it is, or let them make plays, and just prepare for next year. Look at it as an extended spring.
Yeah. Let's look at the last little bit of the schedule, and then we'll end this off since we've been on here just for a little bit. Let's look at the remaining schedule. Man. Oh, you ready? Here we go. Pittsburgh at Florida State. Then Florida State will go to number 23 right now, NC State.
They won't be
get their ass whooped today.
Yeah, they got whooped. And then number 1 Clemson. We know how that's going to go. And then Virginia comes to town, and then at Duke for your grand finale. That should be. What do you think? What TV broadcast is going to be airing Florida State versus Duke? Nickelodeon.
The one we just saw.
Nickelodeon.
Fox Sports Florida, or whatever.
Okay. I was thinking more Nickelodeon.
Failing TV channel.
ESPN Ocho.
Yeah. What's another one that's just struggling really? Hallmark channel. Is that still going on?
Realistically, let's be realistic. Look at Pitt. If Kenny Pickett plays, that's a loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
It is down 28-3 right now.
Yes, because Kenny Pickett's hurt.
Yeah.
If he comes back, that's a tough defense, especially. They're really good at stopping the run, but they're really horrible at stopping the pass. And we talked about how Florida State cannot stop, cannot be efficient in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
What's next after that?
After that is going to be NC State at NC State.
I think that NC State is a very beatable team. They're different with not having Leary as a quarterback. I just think it's a different team. Bailey Hotman's trash. Anyone who was on Hotman Hive is stupid. But I mean, I think that's a winnable game.
Yeah. Next 2 games are Clemson and Virginia, and then Duke.
What do you think, Dustin? Clemson. So they had a 46-point spread today, which I think was, even though it was Syracuse, I think is a lot for a conference game.
Yeah.
What's the point spread? 28?
30, 31.
That's a lot.
I would say high 20s
today,
low 30s. If Florida State if they lose to Pittsburgh and then to NC State going into this game, I could see them putting this thing at like 32-35 because I mean it's going to be a blowout. There's no other way around it.
But they're coming to Doak though. Clemson's coming to Doak.
Yeah, and they went to Atlanta last weekend and scored 77.
That's great. Well, we had Surrender Cobra with the guy in the stands reading the book the last time that Clemson was at.
Interested to see what the next big meme is going to be. That's
prediction
going to be the thing. What's going to be the biggest meme coming out of that game on November 21st? That's going to be my goal, is finding which one that's going to be. I'm thinking like a sad college student girl, like just sad. Like, why is she here? She'd rather be drinking, something like that.
My score prediction is a legitimate 70-3 right now. We'll see if they can change that in 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, no one's really – everybody listening live and whenever they listen to the podcast, no one's going to be, like, thinking you're crazy. I mean, I know. That's crazy.
We've seen what they've done before.
If Virginia can't complete a forward pass, they're really missing Bryce Perkins. That's a completely different team than the last couple of years. And Duke is leading the country in turnovers. So, those last 2 games are definitely winnable. So you're looking at a possibility of 3-2, 2-3 to end the year.
I think Duke's going to be a good game, gentlemen. I don't know about y'all, but I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think they're going to have any stands up there. I
think every game's going to be competitive. I'm not saying that it's not the Florida State defense is too bad for it to not be. At the same time, at some point, ability has to show through, but it's not going to this year because they're all mental midgets and they don't know how to win. That's clear after last week. They don't know how to handle success, and they don't know how to win. They don't know how to handle it.
Yep.
I'm sure they're popping bottles and
they were. I mean, we saw it. They treated – sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah.
They treated last game like it was a Super Bowl. I mean, you had the guys breaking out the cigars in the locker room first game, taking all those dope-ass pictures. And what'd they come and do today against a 1-4 Louisville team that hadn't won in their last 4 games and had only beaten Western Kentucky this season? Laid an egg. They didn't wake up. They might as well not even got out of bed today.
I think they didn't.
I would have rather forfeited than watch that.
Jeez. How many days are we away from basketball season?
Not enough.
So
not enough.
We need to stop talking about basketball and hyping it up because it's gonna be the same shit that happened. Okay, let's just let it happen. The worst thing that could have happened was Kirk Herbstreit on game day saying there's a different feeling in Tallahassee after last week.
Well, not to mention we all predicted Florida State to win. I think pretty much every other site predicted all Florida State to win.
I never did that. Never me.
Man.
Couldn't have been me. That was a different Logan Robinson.
You will not catch me again, Florida State. You will not do it.
We finally got Dustin to predict a win, and this is what happened. It's freaking hilarious. So, but yes, Dustin is fully.
I predicted a loss to Jacksonville State. Like I'm back on that energy.
You're back on that Jacksonville State. Okay, that one.
I think a lot of it falls on what they do, what happens at quarterback. If Florida State can open up the passing game, if Terry can come back, and whatever they can do on defense, got to figure something out. These guys got to be good at something. They have to be good at something.
They are. They're good at losing. Really good at it.
Schematically,
elite
on the field,
elite losers.
Well, before this gets just rambunctious, I need to go drink a beer. I'm too sober for this mess. I didn't drink at all for this game, and I really regretted that. It's way more fun while you're drinking. Makes it feel a little bit better. But thanks to our guys. Los was in here earlier, but we lost connection to him. But Nate Greer, lead recruiting insider up there. Wait, have you heard anything from recruits? Have you talked with recruits about this game yet, or anybody?
I talked to a couple. I mean, everyone's wondering what's going on in recruiting right now. It's quiet. It's quiet for a reason.
But just their take from this game. Any?
A couple guys are just same thing they've been saying. We're going to be all right. I trust Norvell. Got to get the right pieces in place.
Wow.
I can't wait to get there to compete. Same stuff.
They're going to have all the chance to.
But they clearly. The board is clearly going to change, in my opinion, of what needs to be filled. They need to bring in as many linebackers as they possibly can. I think they need to relook at some of the wide receivers that they have not recruited in the state of Florida alone, like a Jaden and Alexis, who is completely dynamite with the ball in his hand and fits what the offense does. I think they really need to consider bringing in as many defensive backs as they can, true safeties, because there's question marks back there. And I know that they feel good about where they're at with Terran Arnold, but one guy's not going to solve it. And if Florida State continues to go sideways and not show progress, any of that positive movement or positive thoughts of where you are with people, it's gonna fall apart. So, this staff needs to really, really, really look at their board and switch it up because, the portal sucks right now. And that linebacker article, if you read it, there's not a lot in the portal. There's not a lot in JUCO. There's a couple guys at JUCO who, I'm a big fan of Mark Stoops and what he does on linebacker. I would go after every Kentucky commitment they have at linebacker. And there's not a lot in the high school level. There's a couple guys that could fit. That's where we're at. It's going to be a challenge for any team to fill needs this year because a lot of kids are committed, but at the same time, the guys who are committed right now are still saying the right things. We'll see how that unfolds as the season goes.
Well, as always, we got Nate Greer on here, our lead recruiting insider at NoleGameDay.com, also our lead writer and editor, Dustin Lewis, below us here. I'm Logan Robinson here from Nole Game Day. Definitely appreciate everybody hanging out and listening after Florida State's loss to Louisville, 48-16. Florida State moves to 2-4 on the season, 1-4 in conference play. Florida State has a bye week this upcoming weekend, so everybody can lay back and take a deep breath and see if things will get better in Tallahassee. But a whole 180 from Florida State versus North Carolina this last weekend, kind of a shocker, but we'll see what happens. But always, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify. If you're on iTunes and want to be nice, feel free to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. It helps a lot. Shows it to more FSU listeners.
Hey guys, I voted this week. Make sure you go vote.
Yeah, go vote. And now Dustin Lewis is going to show face here. Show face now, finally. Debbie Downer Dustin. I'm changing your name on here now. On there.
I got on to show the hat.
Okay, that's what the ending is.
Make sure to sign up for Nole Game Day Patreon.
Nole Game Day
Chief
Patreon
member.
Discord's rocking. Discord's rocking. It's not so fun when Florida State's losing, but it just is what it is. But
even better.
It's still a good time. We have a good time in there. But thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of y'all's weekend. Go Steelers. Big game tomorrow. Let's go, baby. I'm excited. Enjoy y'all's weekend. See you guys.
Hey, big sucks, man. Okay.
Shut up. Let me